Melvin Law. We got plenty to talk about tonight, of course. Super Bowl, not so much the music, entertainment. We won't waste our time on that. But anyway, lots of good stuff. Shane is happy, I'm sure, because golf is in full swing. I thought it was a cheap shot show, what we saw out of Texas A&M. I really ripped it on my column today, and I'm interested to know what Shane thinks about it. It was, to me, they were trying to hurt people. Never good when that happens. So anyway, let's stop the music and we'll go into see our QB and talk to him. He's the host of the Successful Morning Show. On up at Matthews. You've heard it. You hear it a lot. If you're not hearing it, you're missing out because it is a very good show. I think it's been on the air now about, 15 years? I don't know. A long time. So, evening to you, Shane. How you doing?
Buddy, you got some new music tonight?
I do. I know it's probably not the best in the world, but
I like it. Good tune.
Well, just change it up a little bit for the open. Brendan wants to change the open. So, yeah, we'll be done in about 15 seconds or less. And we'll jump in with both feet. I've been waiting all day to hear your thoughts about the Super Bowl. I've made a conscious decision not to go into the halftime show. I'll tell you why. It gets political, and once you get into politics, it's dead. I know people are going to want to talk about it and fine, that's all right. But to me, whatever. You got a view of that, fine, you can share it, but I'm not going to go too much there. And I was really disgusted with what I saw out of College Station this weekend in that game that was played at the end where the players from A&M were purposely trying to take out the Gators, including a horrible no call on Chenyalu, who was in a double lock. They call that what a lock thing is they do. And it should have been flagrant. There was no call. Then Tommy Hoff, he lost it at the end. This is the assistant coach. Did you watch that? Let's start with the Super Bowl. Shane, give us your thoughts of the game.
I'm one in the minority, I'm sure. I like the game. I don't know why people think a Super Bowl, a national championship, whatever sporting event, the Masters, whatever, has to be like exciting. There's no guarantee. I mean, there's been multiple football games. Let me ask you this question, buddy. The Gators A&M, did you think that was an exciting game?
Not really. I mean,
exactly. But you liked it because you're a Gator fan and how it ended up.
Well, I thought it was really excellent. I admired the excellence of the Gator team.
Yeah, well, the excellence in that football game where the two defenses were phenomenal.
Well, certainly Seattle's was, and you're probably right. And the other played well too. Okay, I'll give you that. I'm an offensive guy. There's a lot of scoring in the basketball game. That was good. But I don't know. I didn't get any. 12-0 at halftime is not my idea of a really great game. And
yeah, but how many Super Bowls have there not been great games, so to speak? A bunch.
Quite a few. As a matter of fact, there was a reoccurring theme early on. As you know, I started watching them from the very first one, and I covered the next 10. And there was a theme I wrote about many, many times in national publications as well about the fact that the Super Bowl was a super bust. It was never exciting. The Super Bowl III, because of Namath, but that wasn't even a really great game. The Jets dominated them 167. So you're right. Sometimes they're not great games. I think it's one thing, though, Shane, see if you agree with me on this. I think it's such a high-level play. The conference championship games are so hotly contested and so close and so well played that we tend to think we're going to get better. But really, the more heated conference games are the really more better games.
Well, they were this year. There's been plenty of blowouts in those as well. If you go back and look at the history of the National Football League, I think the average fan doesn't watch football all year long. They wait and go to these parties and stuff. And so they think because it's a Super Bowl, it's supposed to be a great game. And if you really go back, like I said, buddy, go back and do the research of the Super Bowls, the championship games, playoffs in general, you get a handful of great games, but a lot of them are just regular football games.
You're probably right. Right.
So I enjoyed it because I just thought Seattle's not a blitzing team. They zone blitzed a ton and gave Drake May and fits. I thought the offensive line play was not good at all by the Patriots. I thought they got dominated by the front four of
The left
Seattle.
side, especially Will Campbell,
Yeah,
got crushed.
and I Drake didn't play great. I mean, he's the second youngest quarterback to ever play in a Super Bowl. Marino was the youngest. He also is hurt. He's got like a shoulder injury. You could tell the ball didn't come out of his hand. He didn't throw the ball like he's thrown it all year. But
Yeah.
regardless, they could play that game 10 times, and the Seahawks are going to probably win all 10 times. They're that good.
I was going to say, how good are these Seahawks?
They're the defense. Their defense is as good as I've seen the NFL in all my time.
Yeah.
I know the '85 Bears hang their hat on that.
Yeah.
It was a unique style of play that they played with.
Mm-hmm.
But in today's world, how hard it is to play defense because the rules are against the defense from a pass interference standpoint, things of that nature. Boy, they got after it last night, and they've done it all year long.
Remember that Bear defense, how exciting it was? I was coaching Little League football at the time, and I fell in love with it, and I decided to put it in. My guys ran the Bear defense. It was amazing. Yes, you're right, exactly. So, but, there's also some big news today in basketball on the ruling. I guess you've heard about this. The Tuscaloosa judge denied Charles Bediako's motion for a preliminary injunction to allow him to continue. Like I say, he's done. He can't play anymore. And there's some people who think that those games he played in should be forfeited. So I think that's probably the first step of a cleanup, which the sport needs, college sports needs. What's your thoughts about that?
I mean, I think it's ridiculous what's going on in college athletics right now. Bediako, he's just a 7-footer, buddy. That's what he is. He's not a special 7-footer. That's why he came back to college, because he couldn't make it in the G League, and he wanted to make more money. I think it's silly that these kids are coming back. Hopefully they'll get some rules in place, and once you leave your university, you're done.
Well, it's not supposed to be retractable. It's not supposed to be, oops, I want to do the undo button. That's not how it goes. Well, that's a little bit of good news. They got a long way to go. That's the start of what's going on. There's some people excited, maybe bring some normalcy to things. Did you hear about Coach Spurrier today in the South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame? What he was asked about Dabo Swinney? Calling out Ole Miss.
Yeah, somebody sent me that.
Yeah, he said, someone has to tell Dabo there are no rules now.
Yeah.
And it's probably as good explanation as any. Congratulations to Coach, another Hall of Fame. My gosh. Who did hear someone say on TV that they came to Spurrier's house to see the Heisman? Somebody from ESPN or one of the whatever that came over to see it. They said they had to move all the golf trophies out of the way to be able to see it. That wouldn't surprise me. All right, so let's. So you were happy with the Super Bowl. You love the Seattle. You love both defenses, and you're happy with all that stuff. Meanwhile, how about the commercials? Did you watch them?
I've never been one of these guys that cares about the. I watched a few, not even paying attention. I'm not one that I couldn't even tell you one of the commercials from yesterday, buddy.
Not even one.
No. I mean, I know that Budweiser does one with their Clydesdales,
right?
But I couldn't tell you what happened in it. I just kind of briefly saw it.
Well, I didn't watch them closely. I just watched some. I couldn't tell you that many. I did notice a couple that struck me. They were way too serious this year. Man, it's like they were serious. And Budweiser wasn't good, but there was one about Lay's potato chips that was about the farmers and how they started out making the potatoes and passing it on to the next generation, which I thought was pretty interesting. Different way of looking at it. And then Michelob Ultra, some of the same people who do it for all that money spent on those commercials. Wow. All right. So Shane, talk to me about this basketball game at A&M.
Well, buddy, we talked about it on my show on Friday going into it. I predicted that we would blow them out because of their style of play. They had no chance of matching up with our athletes. And I knew we'd break their press because we have athletic dudes from the 1 to the 5, guys coming off the bench. And all you got to do when teams press you is throw over the press and attack the basket. And you get a lot of layups and dunks. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
I know you had mentioned earlier, the only thing that I saw was the cheap shot that they took on Thomas Houck.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of the other stuff, so I'm not sure what you're
We
referring
just see
to.
the Chiniello when they had him, they hook and hold him at the foul shot line, and there was one on each side hooking and holding him.
I did not see that.
Yeah, they didn't call it, and they stopped and got a review of it, and they looked at it, and the officials said, "No, they let go of him." I mean, it's horrible no call. And then they almost let the game get out of reach and got out of control at the end. You know, Harlan was there. He was really upset. You don't see Tommy Hoff get that angry very often, ever. I've never seen him get that angry. And then they intentionally were trying to bait him into a fight, or I don't know what they were doing. But the officials let it get out of control. And I said, I think that they should take a serious look at that. If they're going to have these kind of games where these officials let the games get that far off the mark, you're going to have a brawl one day. And then what do? You know, I think that was one of those games that could have gone that way. There was some really unhappy people. And of course you got beat. I mean, have you ever seen a worse shooting night than what they had at A&M? They were awful.
Well, because of the matchups, you know, the tallest guy they got is 6'8", buddy. And we are, I don't think people realize how good we are defensively. And honestly, we're stat wise, we're better offensively and defensively than we were at this time last year.
Yeah.
So this team has a chance. I thought the guards were outstanding in the game.
They played really well.
Yeah, you know, we got a 4-game stretch coming up here. We're going to be favored in every game.
Georgia Wednesday and Kentucky on Friday. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Kentucky is actually, I think they're in second place in the SEC, and which kind of surprised me when I looked the other day because they've been struggling so much. But I guess they found ways to win games.
I've seen a few of their games. They're not all that impressive, but they are winning games for sure. I just think this team, and I would say this at the risk of sounding stupid, but the team I've seen for the last couple of games have playing at a higher level than the champions last year. I mean, they're just playing remarkable basketball, and they haven't even played, not even playing their best yet, you know. So, and they got out rebounded the first half last night. And Tommy
Well, they got out rebounded because they kept throwing up crazy ass shots, and sometimes it's hard to rebound when you're missing that much.
Yeah, but Tommy Hop, he had 1 point the first half. He wound up with what, 23? 1 point the first half. Remarkable. So, Justin says, I don't know about this, if you heard it or not. I don't know if it's accurate or not. He said, Sam Darnold, that's what he says here. Sam Darnold actually lost money playing in the Super Bowl since California has crazy taxes. I find that hard to believe, don't you?
Well, everybody on the team makes the same amount in the Super Bowl. Unless they're talking about he had to buy so many tickets for family members since he's from the state of California.
It doesn't say exactly why. I don't know.
Yeah, because every player on the team makes the same amount of money.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, so today, Phil Troutwine, I want to be sure and tell you the folks are being brought to you by Meldon Law here. Meldon Law, they're doing some great things. He had the team over last night to feed them all. He does that a lot. He does many good things for the Florida Gator program. He's the only official law firm for the Gators. He, of course, does practice law, and you can join him. If you need help, he's the place to go. Check them out. Their locations are serving in North Central Florida, 4 of them, and 1 down in South Florida. Meldon Law, they don't back down. Here's a guy whose take I want to get on Phil Troutwine today, because I think, Shane, Troutwine might have been the secret, maybe one of the best hires they've had in a long time. And I know that that this guy follows the program closely. I say good evening.
What's up, guys? How we
How you
doing?
doing, man? How are you?
Doing well. What's up, buddy? How you doing, Shane?
I'm doing well. All right, Graham.
Did
How we
you?
doing?
We were just talking about last night's about Saturday's basketball game, but before we go there, I was getting Shane sick on the Super Bowl. Be glad to have yours as well. He liked the games. I didn't so much, but I wanted to get to the important thing before we get too far in is Phil Troutline, who had a press conference. I think you might have been there today, and he's such an important piece of this team right now. It looks to me like this guy might be the secret weapon. Just what I'm hearing, how things are going, how he's. What was it like today? What was your takeaway from Troutline?
Yeah, a guy who clearly wants to be in Gainesville, and I think that having someone who understands the level of expectation, obviously played under Urban Meyer, has had success developing offensive linemen at multiple stops. Last 5 years at Penn State, a team that was in the college football playoff, brings legitimacy not just to Florida, but obviously at the national level. And like I said, wants to be in Gainesville. I'm a little bit surprised that he was able to host the team, at least the offensive line for a dinner. He's probably living in an Airbnb right now. I'm sure he's still looking for a house. But someone who, like I said, understands the expectations, got linked up with John Summerall pretty quickly. Today in the interview, he shared that they actually have the same agent, which probably made things a little bit easier to coordinate him being the top guy and
Is that
having
how you met him? That's how you met him, right?
Yeah, through the agency. And, with so many guys that came to the staff through the connections at Georgia Tech, obviously Troy and Tulane, having a connection to a guy who had won 2 championships at Florida and someone he had never met, that agent proved to be pretty critical. And so I'll give him some credit there, because there have been times where I have complained about how prolific agents are, especially with players in this day and age, and especially during a coaching search. So that was a huge win for Florida. And hearing from Coach Troutline and also Bam Hardman as well, someone who was teammates with Ernest Graham and is now coaching his son, Miles Graham, someone who has a lot of, respect for the program as well, and also a lot of familiarity with John Summerall, having worked with him at Troy and then at Tulane for those 2 years, and now here in Gainesville. So an impressive group so far. I'll be quite honest, this is the time where it's probably the easiest it's going to be for them. John Summerall made a quip a couple days ago where he said, we may lose a game here. And, right now they're going to kill it in the press conferences, and it's how about they respond from that, But right now they've never faced the adversity here at Florida. So it's a lot of feel-good stuff, and appealing to the fan base is easier than it's probably going to be in the future. I'll be quite honest.
Do you think they're underestimating the pressure, Graham?
No, absolutely not. I don't think they are. I think that they're grateful to be at Florida, and they understand that turning this thing around and doing what John Summerall has done the last 4 years, which is make a conference championship, is going to be an incredibly tough feat to do. I'm not going to say it's entirely out of the question here, but for a team coming off a 4-win season, turning over a lot of its roster, going to an inexperienced quarterback, having to replace 3 starters on the offensive line, implement a new scheme with the returning guys, not having the spring transfer portal window. A lot's going to have to go right for them to reach those level of expectations. I think that they may not be saying it too much, and they're talking about how much they want to win, but I would be surprised if they're ignorant of how much it's going to take to win at Florida, and they understand it's not going to happen overnight.
Shane, you talked a lot about the offensive line last year. You were pretty unhappy with it, except for the center play, maybe left tackle for a while. They had a lot of holes. They couldn't seem to adjust. They had a world-class running back who gained 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards, despite the holes. How much better do you think Troutline, if you think Troutline's the guy, can he make this offensive line? And I'm just going on Shane and Graham, what I've heard about the guys he's got coming in and what we've seen he's got coming in, which looks like a extensive upgrade, the players that are following him and coming to Florida. I don't know. First, Shane, how much better can they be? And I'll ask Graham the same question.
I don't know the personnel that well. I know, he brought in some Penn State guys. I know we got some Georgia Tech guys. We got some guys that have played for the guys that are going to be coaching them. I will say this about Georgia Tech. They were as physical the last 2 years on the line of scrimmage in the Georgia game more than anybody, I think, that played Georgia probably. So I think Troutwine's track record speaks for itself as an O-line coach. But again, I think it all comes down to Buster Faulkner. I think he's a tremendous play caller. I think this offense is going to be dynamic. I really do. I know Graham mentioned about the inexperience at quarterback. Sometimes that's a good thing. Some guys play that ain't real good, and they keep playing. They can have experience, but there's no production. I think the battle between Trammell and Philo during spring will be fascinating. I think both of them do exactly what Buster Faulkner wants to do. They know where to go with the football. They're accurate, and they can lead a football team. So I think the skill guys on the outside, I think Eric Singleton is their best player on our offense.
You already said that. I know, as soon as he came aboard. Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, if they use him like they did at Georgia Tech, which they used him like Percy Harvin. He had over 200 yards rushing, I think, at Georgia Tech as a wide receiver. So he's dynamic. And I think when you put those other receivers out there with him, it's going to put pressure on the defense because Buster Faulkner knows how to call plays.
All right, Graham, I asked the same question. I've got Franz standing by on the sick bed. He's got COVID. And I want to get on him on here in a minute to talk about basketball. But regarding the same question, some of those guys he's got, the guy from Stanford, they look like specimens in the offensive line, what I can tell. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the toughness, like Shane mentioned, is going to be something that is going to be elevated. Obviously, you're losing a lot of experience, but similar to the quarterback situation, that can be a good thing for this team. Guys like Rod Kearney have been working hard for an opportunity like this. Rod came in and killed it on the scout team. I expect him to be a starter this year. Phil Troutwine praised him today. I think he's going to be really good for Florida. And then obviously you return Najee Harris, and you bring in the guys from Penn State and Egan Boyer and TJ Shanahan. You bring in a Mecca from Stanford as well, a guy who was really, really good last year. I know you think Stanford and you maybe aren't going to be wowed by hearing a name coming from over there. Go watch his film. He was really, really good last year. And then obviously you get Harrison Moore coming in from Georgia Tech. It's not just Phil Troutwine, with the elimination of these coaching limits. Phil Troutwine is the offensive line coach, but, Mike Pauley is also the offensive line coach in a sense. And then Emil Akir, the former Alabama offensive lineman, who played inside offensive lineman at Alabama, briefly played in the NFL. He's helping coach the unit as well. So they're going to divide those roles up into coaching safeties, guard, and tackles. So I think that the guys that they've brought into the program are going to have some good opportunities to compete. There's a reason why TJ Shanahan followed Phil Troutwine here. I think that he had a great season last year and knows that playing under Troutwine's coaching is going to help bring out the best in him. And then, like Shane again mentioned with the toughness, bringing Mike Pauley in from Georgia Tech, I think is going to be huge for Florida as well. So overall, from not even evaluating an offensive line production standpoint, if the quarterback operates a little bit quicker and the offensive scheme is a lot less vanilla than what we've seen in recent years, any offensive line deficiencies will be far less glaring in my mind.
All right, now we've got this esteemed panel together. Really, do we get three more knowledgeable guys than you? And I want to shift gears a little bit because I know Franz is barely hanging on. He's going to go back to bed as soon as this is over. This basketball team is getting better and better. And I made a statement earlier, and Shane, it sounds crazy, but there are times that I think this basketball team looks better than last year. Now, I'm not saying they were better, because you'll never get better guards than they had last year. But when they keep blowing people out, and they've been blowing them out right down the line, these next two games, Georgia on Wednesday night in Kentucky. The first place team, Franz, ranked number 14 in the country. How about these Gators?
I think they're just heating up now. It's amazing that one day shy of a year ago, they took out Auburn, up at Auburn, and we started thinking, man, these guys are starting to look like they could really do it. Well, a year and a day later, they are at Texas A&M, a team that's supposed to give them a lot of trouble, and they just blew their doors off. And if they'd had any kind of a first half, they'd have probably scored 120 on them. My goodness, they're playing very, very well. And, history says that these guys might actually shoot at some point in time. And they've had moments when they did. If the guards happen to just start hitting 30%, Florida's going to be a hard team to handle the rest of the way.
I didn't see a whole lot wrong with the guard play the other night, and I thought they're so quick to the basket. They can cut you up in the transition. They did a beautiful job, as Shane pointed out earlier, to break the press, throw the ball over their head, and they did that, and the guards got some easy play. Boogie Flan seems like he's getting better and better. What impressed you most about this game against A&M on Saturday, Franz?
Well, it was the way that they just totally handled the pressure. The pressure was, they had a few plays that they looked pretty good on, but I'd say I guess 100 times the Gators had the ball and moved it up the court during the course of the game. They may have actually felt like they were really pressured 6 times, which isn't much. They turned the ball over 9 times, and 4 times in the first half. 4 times in the first half, 5 in the second, of which 3 were kind of garbage type plays. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here, and I think that they're at a point now where we're starting to see how well Todd adjusts his team and brings the team along. Last year he turned them. That Auburn game I thought was a telling game last year, just like I think these last couple games, the Alabama and the A&M games, are very, very telling for how he can adjust a team on the fly and get them to play the way he wants them to.
All right, I asked all 3 of you, if you had to lose one of these 2 players, who would you rather it be? Would you rather be Ruben Chinlu or Tommy Hopp? Which one, Franz, if you had to lose one?
No, that's the wrong either or question.
Yeah, you can.
Are you asking, can we afford to lose Big Ollie?
No, I'm just saying. You got to lose one of those 2 guys. No. They're so good, both of them, what they do. And we kind of expected from Tommy Hoff. Chinlu's been far above. I swear, I think he's so dominant that when he's not, and even when he's not in there blocking shots, his ghost scares people. They miss so many close-up shots because you could hear the footsteps. You know what I mean? Chinelu has been such a dominant player. I'm so impressed with him and how he's been. I don't know. It would be tough. What do you think, Graham?
If gun to my head, I have to go Ruben if they can afford to lose one, because Micah Hanlogton, having him 7'1" off the bench is such a luxury that so many other teams don't have. I mean, a former starter, a guy who his game is obviously different. He's not as physical. He's not the double-double machine, but we saw him start the year with double-doubles. If you had to pick one of Ruben or Tommy, you've got a guy in Micah who can step into the starting role. I mean, Tommy is invaluable to this team right now. We've talked about the shooting. The guy's knocked down a 3-pointer in 18 straight games going into Wednesday's contest. I mean, what would their shooting numbers be if he wasn't drilling threes from the wing and from the corner? And, not to use the cliche here, but the intangible of just the energy that he brings, being able to contribute in every single facet. He can guard 1 through 4, sometimes 1 through 5 at 6'9". He can bring the ball up the court. He does it pretty much everything. He does everything for Florida. Yeah, so losing him would be a massive blow to Florida. Obviously, losing Ruben would be as well. You ask a tough question, But if you had to lose one that you can overcome due to the personnel on your team, Ruben is a little bit of a better answer in my mind.
Shane?
Condon.
No, I said if you had to lose one of the
No,
other.
my answer would be Condon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shooting threes?
You
No,
know
I mean-
what's funny is the Gators have made more threes than the other team this year.
I didn't know that. That's a great stat.
You look at it. We've also taken 100 more threes than everybody else. But the thing about it is, one way to look at it is, gosh, we're missing threes. The other way to look at it is, look how many of them we're sticking back in for two. It's almost like a missed three is almost like an assist.
Yeah, one thing we didn't mention was the beauty and grace that Hoff plays with. I'm with the UConn coach about watching him play. I love to watch Tommy Hoff play basketball. He's just so fluid. He makes such great moves. He creates his open shot. He can pass the ball. He just got it all. And I think he might be the SEC Player of the Year, guys. What do you think?
I mean, he'll be up there. I'm trying to think of who else. Graham, you probably know, or you and Franz probably know better than us. But there's probably 3 or 4 guys. The kid from Tennessee, the 6'10" guy.
Yeah, Nate Ament. He's going to be in the conversation. I mean, he's getting better and better. I mean, LeBaron Philon Jr. is probably going to get some consideration as well.
Otega away.
Otega's having a little bit of a down year, but he's playing with a lot of new pieces around him. Jaden Quintance has been in and out of the lineup. He's got a new backcourt partner in Denzel Aberdeen.
Tanner Tyler.
I think Tommy is a top 3 candidate right now, but if he closes the season the way he's played so far, I think it's going to be hard. And if Florida wins the SEC regular season title, it'll be hard not to give it to him.
Final thought, very dangerous game.
Tommy's my best. Tyler Tanner's my second best player.
Okay. Real close. I'll let you go, Franz, and I know you got to go too, Shane. You all got to go at some point, but I want you to hang with me for a minute. I want to get through this particular part with regarding the game in College Station. I was angry about what I saw. Maybe I saw a different game. I don't know. But it looked to me like the ultimate cheap shot when a guy comes behind you and clips you, basically, which is what they did to Hop at the end of the game. You only do that for one reason. That's to hurt the guy and take him out. And then on top of that, you saw what the assistant coach, Arlen, what he got upset about. Angry. That thing got out of control. And Franz, I know you blame it on the officials, and I can't disagree with you on that. But that was a nasty-looking game at the end there. I thought I just was so horrified. And then to see the Chinlu no call when there was hook and hold on both arms at the same time. And they called me the no call. Am I crazy or what?
Joe Lindsay and Pat Adams, I guarantee you, our coaches groan when they see that they're going to be calling a game. Pat Adams' sell-by date expired 10 years ago. He's turning into the next Tony Green, who stuck around way too long. And Joe Lindsay, I don't know what anybody sees in him other than the fact that he can blow the most obvious calls. There's guys I'd much rather see that I can't stand. The no call. And then to have him say, well, they kind of let go. No, they didn't let go. Ruben just kind of Ruben just got too strong for him and pushed it out.
Graham, what do you think? You saw that play. What did you think of that call? No call.
I mean, I love that Franz has the scouting report of the officials. I always kind of just, call them zebras. They're their own people too, so I respect it. I've seen worse in a game. I wasn't like, sitting here yelling at my computer or TV and incensed at it. I mean, you're going to see worse calls if you make it to the NBA. I mean, Tommy Houck is is going to be in the NBA in a year from now, and there's going to be games where teams try and trip him and get him inadvertent elbows. So, probably the learning lesson from him about it was that was the most hot I've seen him after a situation, and justifiably so.
Really, he was hot.
And about an hour ago in the Detroit Charlotte game tonight, there was a big fight, and 4 players got ejected. Moussa Diabate threw a fist at tried to punch Isaiah Stewart. There was a big brawl. That's the kind of stuff that guys are going to try and take the other one out and be overly physical at times. And kudos to the coaching staff for trying to be the ones to handle it. The thing that stood out to me about it, and I think it defines the maturity of a lot of guys on Florida's roster, is that they were kind of telling the coaching staff, hey, it's okay. We beat them by 19. Let's get out of here. And Urban had some choice words for him, and Ruben Chinielu's trying to calm Carlin Hartman down. I mean, that kind of speaks to
that was good.
The maturity of the team. That was probably, if I had an optimistic outlook, that was the thing that stood out to me the most about it, was that the team destroyed a lot of composure when they could have been incensed, and Tommy justifiably was, but at the end he was calming his coaching staff down, who was going to bat for him. So that's how I kind of took it away.
Shane, I agree with that, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't see the Ruben incident. I did see the it's interesting because I was watching that game and I saw, like, during a coming out of a timeout, Tommy Houck and the kid from they used to be at Alabama. What's the kid that gave him the cheap shot to the back?
What was his name?
Rylan
Griffin.
Yeah.
They were chatting and laughing, and then like 2 minutes later is when they the forearm to the back, But stuff like that happens all the time. I watch a lot of college basketball, and I see guys, taking cheap shots and getting flagrant ones and what have you. It's not right, but it happens.
But it's not in the heat of battle. The game's over.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't lose any sleep over it. We'll be.
Carlin Hartman did. He would have let people know he didn't like it.
Well, it's his job to be upset about it, not Tommy's or someone else's, because Carlin can afford to be fined by the SEC, but the last thing that they could deserve to happen, like we just talked about with Tommy, is if he overreacts and then he charges at another player and gets in their face, and then he's risking being out for a game. So
that's the danger.
Good for the coaches for being the front line.
Yeah, I want to add this: the officials have got to do a better job. They have to, because if they don't do a better job, stuff like this escalates, and you're going to end up with something ugly. I'm old enough to remember what happened Ohio State and Minnesota years ago, when a guy named Dave Winfield pounded somebody into submission. Luke Whitty, who was the Ohio State center at the time was never the same after that. And everybody said, "Oh, Dave Winfield was just a heat of battle." Dave Winfield was a thug. Period.
Mr. May, baby. Dave Winfield, as dubbed by George Steinbrenner back in 1981.
But
one of the three athletes drafted by all three, the professional.
Amazing athlete. I met him at the College World Series. Very nice guy. By the way.
But you know something? It's stuff like that when officials let games get out of control and they don't make calls like that, you end up with stuff like this. And the Ohio State Minnesota game, I watched that game, and it was very physical, and you kept wanting the officials to step in and make the calls, and they didn't. And so when you don't make them, you let stuff like that go, you may end up with a case like this, and that's what upsets me.
Shane, did you ever have a football game like that where people got out of control like that?
I did in high school. We played a game in Jackson, Mississippi against Callaway High School. A third quarter, fights broke out everywhere. And
what started it?
We were kicking their ass.
That's what usually happens.
And they were one of those very athletic teams. not well coached, not very disciplined. It got so bad, dudes were running over, taking out the blades out of the tape cutters.
Oh my gosh!
Like it was bad.
Wow.
I ran to the sideline and set my ass on the bench
Smart play. Yeah,
because
really.
it was. I'm telling you, I didn't know if we were going to get shot in that game or what, but it was bad.
You're a better man than I am, Gunga Din.
Well,
I
I'm
was
gonna tell you,
160 pounds too, Fran. So
yeah.
those guys were much bigger and meaner than I was.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I
Well,
would have
that's the
done what
problem.
you did.
You mentioned the violence, the guns are the problem today. You worry about that.
Well, if that would happen in today's world, there'd probably
That would
been
be guns.
a shooting.
It would be
Because
shootings.
Callaway High School's in not a great area in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
The Chargers.
That's right.
Anybody else ever have getting a game like that where there was a big fight? Graham?
No, not that I can remember. I've seen a lot of basketball fights, though. I've seen a lot of basketball fights.
I think back to the Malice in the Palace. That was 20 years ago when it spilled into the stands. I mean, that was
We almost got another one tonight, Kevin.
that was something. By the way, SEC Player of the Year. You guys forgot to mention who I think is the best scorer I've seen so far in the league is Keyshawn Hall. Man,
He's having a great year at Auburn. He
that kid is something. And Josh Hubbard's having a pretty good year. Acuff at Arkansas. I think they'll be in the mix. But if you go best player on best team, I mean, you got to go Tommy Houck right now. And I think that's what a lot of the coaches do. And how about Florida being in first for the first time in
2014.
the 2014, which says a lot, I think, about some of what went south in the Mike White era in terms of, I think, Auburn and Tennessee kind of surpassing them with Rick Barnes and Bruce Pearl. And now Todd has it back to where it was with Billy, where, Florida and Kentucky are kind of the top dogs in the conference. And that's the way I think it should be.
All right, let me let Shane get out of here. You guys hang on 1 minute. Shane, thank you. I'll see you on your show in the morning.
All right, gentlemen, have a good night.
Matthews, pot up with Matthews. Thank you,
Shane.
All right, so I want to keep the Graham. Can you hang 1 more minute? You have to stay.
Of course, man. I got time.
Good, because we got a good group here to finish up the conversation about the basketball team. Is really fun to watch play. It's just fun to watch those guys play. I mean, look, we won't have the likes of that much talent on the floor like this. I don't know. They're long and lean, and they run the court like a bunch of gazelles. And here's the thing about them, France. We talked about this. They're such a good passing team among big men. The big men can really pass. They got touch, and they like to pass. And of course, the boarding goes without saying when you lead the nation in the offensive boards, and now the guards are starting to play. This team is, I don't know. I think there's no way what they can. Am I getting over the top, Graham?
No, I think they're excellent. I think the craziest thing and why we're praising them so much is because they're not playing at their ceiling. I mean, if they were hitting 7% better from 3-point range and maybe even limiting a few more of those turnovers and that performance against Texas A&M, Alex Condon was held to 4 points in that contest. I mean, it's not going to be everyone's game on every single night, but the depth of options that they have a lot of wealth, and now they've developed a bench. They've got an 8-man rotation, which was an issue earlier on. Isaiah Brown and Urban Klavzar are able to give you double-digit points.
Brown is really coming.
Yeah. I mean, and he's got the highest vertical on the team. His defense was helping him get those consistent minutes, but he's a great cutter without the ball, can knock down corner threes as well. He's definitely getting more and more mature gradually and has filled that 8th-man role. He's able to stay ready, even not knowing if he's going to play 5 minutes or 20 minutes on a night. So they've gotten deeper as the season has gone on. And if they're able to, Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland are able to even get a little bit closer to hitting 3-point shots at the rate that they did even last year, this is a team with a top 5 ceiling in college basketball.
Franz, I really like Isaiah Brown. None of you too, don't you?
Oh, I love him. And I love him, and I love the energy that he brings. He is instant energy the moment he steps on the court. and he revels in playing defense. He loves playing defense. And goodness, guys, we got a designated shooter. I call him Lethal Weapon 3, and that is Urban Klavzar. I mean, he just, even his bad shots look good. I mean, at the moment he shoots the ball, I think it's going in. Reminds me of Lee Humphrey in that he's hitting 38% now. That number just keeps on rising because he, again, like I said, everything he throws up looks like it's going in from the moment it leaves his hand.
And he can get them out of a slump. And he can get 3 threes there in a hurry. Next thing you know, they're up by 9 before you know it. And what are we missing, Kevin?
Well, I think Klavzar, he's probably over 40% in the SEC, I would think. I think he has gradually been getting more minutes, obviously. And I think Todd's done a good job when he's seen if Xavier doesn't get off to the start, he gives Klavzar more minutes. And I think that certainly has helped, and it's helped with the bench production as well. My only concern about this team and where they are now is how much we know the SEC isn't as dominant as it was last year. How much so, I wonder, and because they're doing a lot of this in the SEC now. They put themselves in a great position to be in Tampa, top 4 seed. And I think winning the SEC regular season, which they're in a really good position to do now, would be a nice feather on their cap. But when they get back, because we know the Big Ten is better, we know the Big 12 is better, some of those matchups will be interesting come March. But I think, having that first weekend in Tampa will be really big because, the fans will be coming out for them. They've won 8 in a row NCAA tournament games in the state of Florida. They haven't lost in the state of Florida in NCAA tournament games since 2003. So I think that puts you in really good position to get to the second weekend. And then from there, I think it just will come down to the matchups. But you got to like the front court. You got to like the rebounding. I love teams that can, hold teams to one shot and get second chance opportunities. And we'll see if the guard play comes along. There's a lot of talk about the 3-point shooting and 3-point line. If you can defend the 3 well, and, Florida has outscored its opponents in terms of 3-point makes. And if you can defend the 3-point line well, you can make up for off shooting nights. And that's what they're going to have to do, I think, to go deep in the tournament. Just keep that overall margin as a minimum.
The one thing in the guard play you got to give it to them is the turnover margin is really down. They're not turning the ball over, and that's in March. That's important for guards to have guards who can handle.
I just looked this up. Actually, I think both Boogie and Xavier have better than 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. To your point, so that's obviously taking care of the ball, and they did a really good job against Texas A&M's press. They prepared for it. Bucky Ball was proved to be a gimmick, and I think a lot of those fouls were frustration fouls in the second half, by the way.
No doubt.
But Georgia, I think, that's another test too, because Mike White's teams turn you over. They're averaging almost 14, 15 turnovers a game. So I think that's going to be another test to go up there to the Stegosaurus where, Georgia actually beat them last year, and that kind of spurred that 12-game winning streak to win the national title. So, but I think Florida will be in a good spot to kind of avenge that loss on Wednesday.
If you can if you can handle the press, your likelihood of turning the ball over is much less. And that's the key. This team, I think, can handle the press really well.
Yeah, they've gotten better at it for sure. Didn't see it a ton early on in the season. Saw it against FSU and a couple other teams, but that was the most they've seen it in this season, which is definitely seeing how they fared there. It's part of that elevating their ceiling conversation because they at times have been a little bit careless with the ball and had made some, rash decisions, some unwise, quick decisions there, but were really, really good limiting turnovers there. There were kind of a few fluky ones, I think Todd said after the game against Texas A&M. That Georgia game, like Kevin mentioned, is going to be a closer contest in my mind. You remember that Santos Cyril, their starting center, got, knocked out of the game, 10 minutes in, he got ejected, and then Florida wins by 15, on the road with him back. That is going to certainly be a tougher contest on Wednesday night.
Florida has only had one game where they have exceeded 11 turnovers since SEC play began, and that was Georgia. They turned it over 13 times against Georgia. So That's got to be, you're right about, but guys, about that, is when they're limiting the turnovers, they're really, really good. I don't think they can be pressed right now. I really don't. I think they've improved so much against it. Vanderbilt pressed them fairly effectively. Did not get a lot of turnovers, but forced them got them out of joint a number of times, and that was as close as anybody's really come to affecting them with the press. I got to tell you something, Tyler Tanner on the press is scary. I mean, talk about a kid. I don't know if you guys saw the game against Oklahoma, but he was at one point, he was like 4 for 17 shooting the ball. And he goes 7 for 8 the rest of the way and took them back. They were 21 down with 4:59 to go, 10 down with a minute to go. And he makes a perfect pass to OKK, and he turned the ball over. And that kind of was the end of the game for him, but they still only lost by 1.
They kind of look like they know where they want to go with the ball. There's a certain rhythm to this team, which is impressive. They played together a bunch now, and it's starting to show up. All right, guys, we got a couple of minutes. I'm going to wander off script just for a minute. Okay. I haven't talked about this on purpose tonight because I don't want the program to go sideways. But anytime we get a situation that gets political, I'm out. I don't do politics. But certainly what happened in halftime of the Super Bowl became political. And I chose not to talk about Bad Bunny or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. I realize I don't get it, and my generation is past that. There are many reasons why. But I heard tonight, the first logical reason I heard for having a guy like Bad Bunny, Hispanic, came from our buddy Freddie Weeby, who pointed out that because the World Cup is coming to our country and they want to attract football fans from the NFL agreed to get in bed with him and bring in Bad Bunny as the host and to get more Hispanic football followers. Have you guys heard that? And does that make sense to you? Graham, start with you.
Yeah, I think Bad Bunny was an awesome halftime performer. Even if you couldn't appreciate the music, the production, the value, his message about togetherness, about America. He's from Puerto Rico. He's an American. It was sad to see how divisive it was. Whatever happened to if you don't like something, just shut up and don't watch it. That's the way I grew up. If you don't like something, you don't like something on TV. Nowadays with entertainment, people feel like if they don't like something, they have to let everyone know about it. You don't. Just shut up. Don't ruin it for the people who want to watch it. Not every halftime performance is going to be for you. There have certainly been entertainers that I didn't like. And you know what I did? I walked out of the room, or I didn't watch, or I tried to appreciate it, but I didn't get on social media and call people up and be like, this is un-American. What are we doing? That's ludicrous to me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm all about messages of unity. I don't care what language it's in. I thought it was a beautiful message. If you didn't like it, fine, whatever. But there were plenty of other people out there who liked it, and I'm going to leave it at that.
So you think it's a cultural exchange? Well, obviously,
yeah.
I wrote last night probably 600 words about why I just didn't get it. And I understood, you know what? Nobody really cares what I think about that. Of course, it's my generation, not my generation's thing. I don't want to be told I got to be bilingual, although I'd like to be bilingual, but I'm not, and so it is what it is. And I've decided, when Freddie told me that story, I understood the decision, but still, it's certainly causing quite a fuss. Franz, I know where you come off on it. Go ahead and tell us.
I didn't watch it. I don't like his music. I didn't watch. It's kind of like when they had what was his name? Gosh, the guy from the Philippines originally. I can't even think of his name. He's so bad to me. Bruno Mars. That's who it is.
Oh, Bruno Mars. Okay. Well, you came up with it. See, good.
See, I didn't even watch Bruno.
There you go,
Kev. I watched Tom Petty. Grew up with Tom Petty. Of course, I'm going to watch Tom Petty. I watched McCartney, and I just
What
think
about
that,
Michael Jackson? Was that any good?
The best
Well,
the best
he said
halftime
it's-
show remains Prince.
Well, see,
in,
I would disagree with you on that.
Oh,
I know,
in 07, that just musically.
I know a lot of people think that. I don't.
The
But
one in Miami. Well, I mean, if you're talking about pure talent, buddy, I mean, he was, and how he
well,
performed.
I mean, that's
he was,
again, that's some bad.
Yeah.
So look, we can argue this all night.
Sure,
I've
sure.
heard a lot of my friends say the same thing. We could argue about it all night long. I don't, I don't know that I could. Go ahead, France.
If I
We
like
each-
it,
we
I
each
watch
get
it. If
15
I don't watch,
seconds.
if I like it, I watch it. If I don't like it, I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Well, Bad Bunny was
Sensible
pretty good.
take, France.
Yeah, Bad Bunny was pretty good in Happy Gilmore. I would say just remember, buddy, we are a nation of immigrants. My family came over in the potato
I
family.
don't have to be told that. I'm well
Yeah.
aware of that.
Exactly. So I think that was the message that he
that's
was
not the
trying to
issue for
portray,
me.
Is
That's
that,
not that. One of my best friends is Puerto Rican, so I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. But again, if I'm going to be entertained, I'd like to be able to understand a couple of the words. You know what I mean? And I've been listening to Cuban music in Florida for 1,000 years, and I love the Latino beats. My friend Carlos Alvarez wrote about it today, and it's not. Look, it's personal taste. I don't care. Watch it, don't watch it. But I thought Freddie made an interesting point about the World Cup and about why the NFL got in bed with them because
And look,
they want those fans.
buddy, the NFL is growing. I mean, they've played games in Mexico, right? They've played games in
Oh,
Brazil.
Of
So
course.
they've tapped that market, many a times, and they're trying to become a global game throughout the country. So I think it's an interesting point, and I do think that the World Cup should be a great event. Certainly coming forward here. So I'll be excited.
I've listened to Pearl Jam songs and I don't know all the words. I mean, I don't think being able to maybe understand a full song is the full determinant, at least for me, whether I can enjoy it or not. And not everything has to be for everyone. So I think that's what makes this country so great. And it'd be pretty boring if everyone liked every single type of music. That'd be a little bit boring to me. But
Remember,
I
Graham,
can see why it's not for everyone.
But remember, Graham, if you sing the songs, you have to know all the words.
Exactly. Then I get to
saw
read
the
it off the teleprompter.
I saw the Beatles September 11th, 1964 in Jacksonville. It's all been downhill since then.
Okay. I saw Elvis now. All right, guys. Great job. Appreciate it. Graham, it's good to see you again, man.
Likewise. We'll do it again soon,
doing
man.
Great work that you're doing. Thank you, Kevin, doing a great job for the song.
Ryan.
Keep it up. And Franz, good to see you up and about, buddy. You're doing pretty good for a guy who's been dead on death's door for 4 or 5 days. All right.
This morning I felt like I'd been run over by a truck, but I'm still
bet you
doing
did.
better
Well,
now.
listen, you're a better man than I am. Thanks. Good job, Franz. Appreciate it. All right.
Keep
Good night,
killing it, guys. Keep killing it,
Appreciate
Kev.
Thanks, Graham.
France.
Thanks,
See you guys.
friends. And all right, guys. We're going to round it up here and say good night to you. And I'll tell you about our friends at Titan MRI and Imaging. They, of course, are doing something special that you should know about because if you're interested in getting customized care when you get an MRI or something, you should hear this because Titan MRI is very, very, and imaging is very, very aware and tries to make the best possible customer service experience for you if you have to have one. They have 3 locations now, about to get a 4th, 2 in Gainesville, which you should know about, and also 1 in the Millennium Center, 2 in the Millennium Center, 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta, Georgia. Titan MRI and Imaging offers the same great customer service, now accept insurance, or you can go through their convenient self-pay options. They offer MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds, easy scheduling with lots of options, including if you can't make it during the afternoon, they'll make you a night appointment. How good is that? They also have those larger MRI machines for your patient comfort. No ERs, no hospitals. You don't have to get claustrophobic. You can get in there and feel like you're not being trapped. So check them out. Coming to Ocala soon to better serve Marion County, surrounding area. Titan MRI. It's your choice. So, folks, appreciate you coming aboard tonight. Enjoyed time with you. Don't forget, we're back tomorrow night with Lauren Meadows will be here. And our team is on the way. We'll give you all the latest information out of Gainesville. And by the way, if you're not subscribed to GatorBait, go to GatorBaitMedia.com and subscribe. And you won't be sorry that you did. Good night.